Hello, my name is Kelsey Addy, and I am a member of the planning team at CARES of New York. Today, I will provide a brief overview of the FY19 Continuum of Care Notice of Funding Availability, or NOFA. This webinar was developed specifically for COC membership, board members, and community stakeholders. CARES developed this webinar because we believe it is our responsibility as collaborative applicant to provide clear and concise information on the COC NOFA to the full community to ensure the COC process is community-centered and transparent. Today's presentation provides a summary of the fiscal year 19 COC NOFA in a brief and succinct format. Specifically, the presentation will discuss HUD's policy and program priorities, 2019 funding availability and deadlines, the application process, and finally, the COC application criteria. Because the NOFA details a variety of important topics, CARES has produced a series of webinars to cover specific topics in more detail. Additional webinars include presentations on the following: new project opportunities, such as bonus and reallocation projects, DV bonus opportunity, opportunities for renewing projects, such as consolidation and transition grants, an eSNAPS refresher for those who are renewing their project applications, and an eSNAPS refresher for those who are setting up a new project. Please be sure to view these webinars on the NOFA section of the CARES website. Please also be sure to visit this section of the CARES website regularly for important application information and due dates. Before detailing HUD's policy priorities, it's important to have a clear understanding of the Continuum of Care program and its goals. The Continuum of Care, or COC program, is a funding stream out of HUD designed to promote a community-wide commitment to the goal of ending homelessness. The program provides funding to nonprofits, states, and local governments to quickly rehouse homeless households while minimizing trauma and dislocation caused by homelessness. The program is designed to promote access to and effective utilization of mainstream programs by homeless households in order to optimize self-sufficiency. On the local level, the COC is the body of stakeholders who work collaboratively to implement the COC program and to effectively and efficiently solve homelessness. To better understand how HUD developed the COC NOFA criteria and application process, the NOFA documents 6 policy priorities, as you can see on your screen. We will now walk through and describe each policy priority. Please be sure to pay particular attention to the last 3 policy priorities, which are new this year. The first policy priority is to end homelessness for all persons. COC should work to end homelessness by identifying, engaging, and effectively serving all persons experiencing homelessness. Specifically, COCs should measure their performance based on local data, have a comprehensive outreach strategy in place to identify and continuously engage all unsheltered households, use local data to determine the characteristics of households with the highest needs and long experiences of unsheltered homelessness, and use the reallocation process to create new projects that improve their overall performance and better respond to their needs. The second policy priority is developing a systematic response to homelessness. COC should use system performance measures, such as the average length of homeless episodes, rates of return to homelessness, and rates of exit to permanent housing destinations to determine how effectively they are serving people experiencing homelessness. Additionally, COCs should use their coordinated entry process to promote participant choice, coordinate quick access to homeless assistance and mainstream housing and services, and make homelessness assistance open, inclusive, and transparent. The third policy priority is to strategically allocate and use resources. Specifically, HUD states COC should improve how resources are utilized to end homelessness by reviewing project cost, performance, and outcome data. HUD also encourages COCs to maximize the use of mainstream and other community-based resources when serving persons experiencing homelessness. Specifically, HUD notes COC should work to develop partnerships to help COC program participants sustainably exit permanent supportive housing, such as through partnerships with the public housing authorities and other government, faith-based, and nonprofit resources. HUD's next policy priority is new this year and is to use an evidence-based approach. Specifically, HUD states COCs should prioritize projects that employ strong use of data and evidence, including the cost effectiveness and impact of homelessness programs on positive housing outcomes, recovery, self-sufficiency, and reducing homelessness. The fifth policy priority, increasing employment, is also new this year. COCs and COC-funded projects should work with local employment agencies and employers to prioritize training and employment opportunities for people experiencing homelessness. COC should also promote partnerships with public and private organizations that promote employment. The last policy priority is also a change from prior NOFAs. The priority is to provide flexibility for housing first with service participation requirements. What HUD means by this is that while COCs should continue their commitment to unconditional acceptance of individuals into housing, projects may allow service participation requirements once a person has been stably housed to promote important outcomes, such as employment, increased income, reduced substance use, and strengthened social connection. HUD clarifies that COCs will not be penalized for requiring service participation after people have been stabilized in housing. In fiscal year 19, HUD has made $2.3 billion available through the COC process, an increase from $2.1 billion last year. In order to access this funding, the NOFA lays out a variety of important deadlines. The full consolidated COC application is due to HUD on September 30th of 2019. 3 additional HUD required deadlines revolve around the local competition. The first is that project applications must be submitted in eSNAPs 30 days prior to the application deadline. Next, project applicants must be notified of their inclusion or exclusion in the COC application at least 15 days prior to the application deadline. Finally, in order to have transparency with the full continuum of care, all parts of the application must be made available at least 2 days prior to submission. CARES works hard with each community to establish more stringent deadlines than what HUD requires in order to ensure a more transparent process and a better overall score. Please review your COC's timeline on the NOFA page of the CARES website and ensure if you are submitting a project application, you do so on or before the required timeline. Please note that there are local deadlines for both the rank and review process and submission of project applications into eSNAPs. I would now like to take a couple of minutes to walk through the application process. The COC registration is the beginning of the application process and typically occurs towards the beginning of the calendar year. During registration, the collaborative applicant, CARES, indicates to HUD the COC's intention to apply for COC funding once again. CARES reviews prior year's information for the COC and submits any changes. This is also the time a COC can request to apply for Unified Funding Agency, or UFA, status. The second part of the application process is submitting the COC Grant Inventory Worksheet, or GIW. The GIW is used annually to record all grants within a COC's geographic area that are eligible for renewal funding for an upcoming COC program competition. CARES works with COC-funded agencies to review and confirm their budgets prior to submitting each GIW. The third part of the application process is conducting and submitting the Housing Inventory Chart and point-in-time counts. The Housing Inventory Chart, or HIC, is a document that captures all of the housing dedicated to homeless persons in the COC area. The point-in-time, or PIT count, is a count of the number of homeless persons in the COC area on one night in January. Both of these activities are required by HUD and are point-bearing in the application. The next part of the application process is submitting the system performance measures. System performance measures are calculated using Homeless Management Information System data and paint a picture of the state of homelessness in the community. Submitting system performance measures is required by HUD and is also point-bearing in the application. The next step in the application is project review and ranking. Every community conducts this process differently, but begins work in February. The rank and review process is developed by the local COC to prioritize COC-funded projects for continued funding as required by HUD. Running at the same time is the release of the NOFA and COC Consolidated application. The COC consolidated application is all within HUD's electronic system, eSNAPS. The collaborative applicant is responsible for submitting the application. The COC application is one part of the consolidated application. It contains information about the COC planning body, governance, overall performance, and strategic planning process. HUD scores the COC application to determine the order of funding by COC nationwide. The priority listing is the second piece of the consolidated application and contains project applications completed by grantees and then placed in rank order using the local COC rank and review process. Additionally, the priority listing includes the 2991 Certification of Consistency with Consolidated Plan. CARES, as the collaborative applicant, is required to create a summarized list of all projects applying for COC funding and present this to the local municipality for review and approval. Before highlighting changes and opportunities detailed in the NOFA, I would like to take a moment to review project tiering. Tiering is a result of the rank and review process and is detailed in the NOFA. The NOFA describes the COC's requirement to tier projects into two categories based on the COC's annual renewal demand, or ARD. A community's ARD is equal to the sum of the annual renewal amounts of all projects within the continuum that are eligible to apply for renewal in that fiscal year competition. The ARD is taken before any adjustments are made for rental assistance, leasing, or operating lines based on the fair market rent. Tier 1 is equal to 100% of the ARD for projects eligible for renewal for the first time, plus 94% of the ARD for remaining renewal projects. HUD will conditionally select project applications that are fully within Tier 1 as long as they pass eligibility and threshold, also based on COC score, beginning with the highest scoring COC and ending with the lowest scoring COC. Tier 2 is equal to the ARD minus Tier 1 plus any bonus dollars. HUD utilizes a scoring process taking into consideration the COC application score and project application specifics to determine funding for all projects who fall into Tier 2. Planning grants and Unified Funding Agency grants are excluded from the tiering process. This list documents funding for each of the COCs CARES works with and lists the ARD, Tier 1, Tier 2, bonus funding, and DV bonus funding amounts available. This information is on the CARES website under each I would now like to review the criteria listed in the NOFA for the COC application. The COC application has a total of 200 points with an additional 25 bonus points, only available for those COCs that merge. As noted in the current slide, 6 criteria areas combine to reach the total 200 points. In this presentation, we will only provide a brief overview of what HUD is reviewing within each of the criteria. Detailed criteria with specific point breakdowns can be found on pages 50 through 68 of the NOFA. HUD is awarding 29 points for project capacity, review, and ranking to COCs that demonstrate the existence of a coordinated, inclusive, and outcome-oriented community process for the rank and review process. HUD is awarding 60 points for system performance measures, the criteria with the largest amount of points available to be awarded. Under this section, COCs must report their system performance measures and demonstrate a COC system-wide performance measurement process related to reducing homelessness. HUD will award up to 9 points for the section on the Homeless Management Information System, or HMIS, to COCs that demonstrate the existence of a functioning HMIS that facilitates the collection of information on homelessness using residential and other homeless services and stores that data in an electronic format. In terms of point and time count, HUD will award up to 6 points to COCs that collect, use, and submit data from the 2019 PIT count. As for performance and strategic planning, HUD will award up to 40 points based on the COC's plan for and progress towards reducing homelessness in its geographic area. Finally, HUD will award up to 56 points for COC coordination and engagement. Points will be awarded to COCs that demonstrate coordination with other systems of care that serve homeless individuals and families, including sources of funding other than the COC program. They will also award points for COCs that demonstrate an inclusive and outcome-oriented community process, including an organization structure and decision-making process for developing and implementing a COC strategy that is inclusive of representatives from both the private and public sectors. COC should also have a fair and impartial project review and selection process. And finally, points will be awarded to COCs that have created, maintained, and built upon a community-wide inventory of housing for homeless individuals and families. There is the FY19 COC NOFA Summary webinar in a nutshell. As a reminder, additional webinars are posted on our website. Please also be sure to visit the NOFA page on the CARES website for important application information and due dates. Thank you for participating in our webinar series, and please do not hesitate to contact anyone on the CARES planning team with any questions or concerns. Thank you.